Alright guys, we're back at it. Hopefully you can hear me. Heading back over to adjust the plunger. Here on the baler, got some company. Cade and Mommy down here working on the job site. Pickle's over here climbing on the hay that's left in here. So we're going to start this morning. We're going to install these new bearings. This one, the other one's a lot worse shape. And I got it at home, so I don't have it. But this has got a little bit of movement to it. It's not really terrible. A little bit of wear. But we're going to go ahead and replace both of them. To do this, you just loosen up this set screw here. And this collar. And the shank on this bearing has a little groove in it. And you just tighten that down on it. But I got her going. So this here should come out. Might give it a tap with the hand. There she goes. Alright, so here's our new bearings. This is the old one. Not a whole lot of wear on this one, but a little bit. Pretty simple. Just slide that in. Then we'll tighten this down. Do the same thing down here. Alright guys, so now I'm going to take this nut off and our bushing out of here, clean that all up. We're going to pack that bearing with some grease. The bearing's in good shape still, so we're just going to go back with it. And the other bearing is still in the head of the feeder bar. And once I get that cleaned up and get some grease in there, we'll be ready to go back together with it. Alright, so when I got this wiped off for the most part, and what I'll do is I'll pump grease on this here, cover it really good, and then I'll slip this inside here. Got the bearing packed with grease, shaft cleaned up, pack the head with grease. Bolt there. All right, she is installed in the trap. And get our pin lined up. All right, I used a 1.5" socket and got it on there. I also smashed my hand. Not really smashed, I pinched. You can see that instant blood blister. I did that about 30 seconds ago. That'll feel really good going into work tonight. Gloves, I guess, guys. Gloves. So, all right, anyways, that is in there all the way. We're ready to tighten this down. This is the castle nut. We'll tighten that down, put the cotter pin in. Feeder bars back together. I did move this. I don't remember where it was when I took it off. I put it about 4 inches from the head. That's kind of the starting point, and then we start baling. If we're getting some ununiform bales or whatever, we can adjust that as needed. So the feeder bar, you can see there is play side to side, which is normal. It's not excessive. There's also that much play up and down, which is normal. That's good. And you don't want it super tight, or it's not gonna, you're gonna wear things out and tear stuff up. But you don't want it, you know, if it's really bad, it'll be flopping in here, and it'll actually get bad enough that you could jump out of this track here and give you a problem. What we had problems with the last time when this thing crashed and I tore some stuff up and had to straighten out the head and everything, is one of these studs on these rollers actually broke off, and that caused it to crash and bad things happen. So since then, I've removed this bar that was in here. The purpose of that bar is basically so you don't get any hay drug back whenever you come in and it comes up, that bar is supposed to rake that hay off these teeth. You generally don't have issues with that. There might be some instances that some certain really stemmy hay or something, you might have some issues, but I've took it out and we've baled, I don't know, several thousand bales with it, and never had any issues with it. So I would recommend actually taking that bar out before you crash, because that bar can cause you major issues, structural issues, if it gets messed up. So the only thing I got left to do is I got to tension the chain on this as far as the feeder goes. And but right now we're going to jump over to the plunger. And for starters, I'm going to go ahead and put the knife blade in here. And I'll put the knife blade on the plunger. And then we want to adjust this bar over here on this side to make sure that they are parallel with each other. That's step one. All right, plunger knives. New plunger knife, old plunger knife, they're the exact same piece. The reason I'm changing is I think we ran a couple rake teeth through this thing. You see these big old chunks taken out of here. To get that sharpened down will take forever. Now what I might do in my spare time, because I have tons of it, I may take the grinder and knock these burrs here off and take the welder and just build that up a little bit and then grind it down. And because the rest of it's really not bad. Hit it with a grinder for a little bit and it'd sharpen right up. But these big notches, you can't really grind. You can grind them out, but it's a lot of grinding. This big bar right over here, that one right there, we'll move that up and down however we need to make this face of the plunger match this wall over here, basically, that knife. And once we get them parallel, then we'll move this horizontal bearing with the cam and we'll shim it, we'll push it over this way as far as we can to take up our slack between the gap between our knife. Our knives need 10 to 30 thousandths gap, and you may not be able to get it all with this one. So you'll move it over there and then you may have to shim your knives. But time will tell on that. So then we'll run it through the paces and we'll do the other adjustments. Having to pack them up and everything. But that's fine. They need to be expected. Dusted and the baler would be done, but I gotta go in. There we go. And it's a pain. Alright guys, we got the feeder bar put back together. Got the stationary knife on, the plunger knife. It's on. I couldn't find one bolt and I dropped the nut off one of the other bolts, so it's only got one bolt in it. So I'm gonna go buy some new bolts, some new nuts, all that good stuff. I had trouble getting that one on, so it probably just need to replace it anyways. And that's as far as I got. Probably gonna be cutting tomorrow, so nothing like a little bit of urgency to get it done. That's just the way we like it. I work better under pressure anyways, actually. So hop in the truck, head home, and I'll catch up with you guys tomorrow morning. Morning guys. It is the next day. We're gonna check out the disc bind here right quick. I'm gonna go for a walk through the field just a little bit, just see how wet the ground is. I'm really hoping it's not super wet because I'm gonna put some hay down today. First things first, 1000 PTO shell. These up. Check our blades. Just gonna look at the back here, make sure there's no big hydraulic leaks or anything like that. And we'll look in here. Got my helper on it. Good job. He's helping me put that plug back in there. He's make sure it's tight. All right, I just topped off the gearbox a little bit. From time to time, they'll puke out a little bit. when you're really running hard and it heats up, puke some out the breather. Not a huge deal, but I just like to keep them topped off so I don't have any gearbox issues. We got one last gearbox to check, and the way we check it is you have to pivot it to the side, and it actually has a sight glass here, and I can see the oil right there. And this one here, if you run it too high, it will definitely spit it out the breather. So that's good right there, as long as I can see it in the sight glass. That means we're ready to roll. What do you think, Cade? All right, guys, I don't even know if you can hear this or not, but I broke my external mic. So what we're gonna have to do is I'm gonna be videoing on the other camera, the other side of this, so I won't be able to see what I'm looking at if I'm trying to talk to the camera. But we'll be all right. Guys, we're in the alfalfa field next to the house. The ground is moist. It's not too bad. Low spots worse. So I'll show you the crop here. There are a few weeds in it. We're in, I don't know, maybe 10 to 20% bloom. It's a lot wetter over by the road where I planted all that grass. It's really thick, but it's cutting okay. We are windrowing it as usual so the ground can dry out more, and then we'll ted it and scatter it out. I started across the road on that little spot there and it went pretty good, so I'm going ahead and cutting this first. So I'll try to square bale this, and then we're going to go back and cut the wheat on the neighbor, cut the field to the east. There's Kate and Mommy waving. You want out? You need help. Say hi to the camera, Kate. Say hi. Hi. Sissy wanted to get out, and Kate's been crying and going crazy wanting back in. He's been running out here in the field, so he really wants to ride back there. He likes watching the hay spit out the back of the mower. But that's probably not the safest place for a kid to ride, or anybody to ride. Over here riding really good. I can't wait to actually build a buddy seat for this tractor. What do you think, Kate? Huh? I'm gonna find a place to mount the camera outside here. Kate thinks for some reason I'm kicking him out of the tractor, so he flopped down here. Not too happy. We're not done. We're not done. Nothing beats the smell of alfalfa hay being cut. Any hay but alfalfa, it's got a particular smell. Down there. Oh, jeez. Okay. Watch your fingers. Oh. Just got him a spot. All right. Just got this little piece right here left. Jump across the road. That's it for this field. Heading to the neighbors. All right, Kate, you ready to get out? She's trying the weed eater. Bethany's hard on weed eater string, aren't you, hon? Got the kids' mister set up. It's nice to have weather where you could use a mister. This field's done. Field number 2, about 5 acres. A little over 9 acres for the day. I got another 6 over here we're gonna do. That'll put us at 15, and then we'll go to Dad's, and hopefully I'll get about 8 acres there done, and maybe the Baler finished. I don't know. It's already noon, so running around these little fields and then having to go to Dad's to do that. Running around really eats up a lot of time. You don't realize it, but all right, field number 3, one of the new plantings. It's got some orchard grass in it. I planted orchard grass and red clover. You can see some red clover, and it's got a good amount of orchard grass, but it's also got some of that wild millet or cheat or whatever. So that's why we're round baling this field as well. Hopefully second cut will come in a lot cleaner. All right, we're just going up the ditch instead of crossing it so we don't cut a bunch of ruts and stuff. Another 6 acres done. This is actually a lot better than I thought it was. There's definitely mostly orchard grass in here, but there is this, I don't know, I think they call it wild millet. I'm not sure. I may decide to actually pick a few of the spots out in the field that's a little bit better and do some square bales. That's a wrap for here, guys. We're ready to go to Mom and Dad's and get that mower hooked up hopefully get about 8 acres cut there and then start working on the baler. It is a beautiful day though. It's nice and warm. I'm gonna stop by the store on the way over there and get some stuff for the baler, get some Freon for this tractor. It definitely has a leak. Are you baling hay, Cade? Uh-oh, jackknifed it. That's why you don't get to run the drill equipment yet. There's the rig. Does pretty good for a broke guy. Across the road there. And we cut down the road here a little ways. This field here turned out to be a lot better than I thought it was going to be. All right, guys. Finally going here at Dad's. We got a little problem. This tractor's 3-point hitch is jacked up. Can't lift and lower it from the cab. Some kind of electrical problem. And luckily, this mower here, you don't really lift the 3-point hitch. You use the cylinder. I'll let it down a little bit here. And here we go. Seems pretty smooth. Here we go. We'll see how high it's cutting. And the tractor just died. See how far I got here. The answer is not very. Good looking hay. I can smell it too. That's how far I got. I started right over there by that post. And I got to here, probably 100 feet, maybe. Cutting good though, good height. This is nice thick hay, orchard grass, ryegrass, and some clover. Too bad we're just not able to get going. Holy cow. It's got some kind of a fuel problem. I don't know if it's the lift pump or what. Well, I definitely made it more than another 100 feet. I think I made it 200 feet this time. Woo-wee! Finally up and going, guys. Talk about your frustration. I actually ended up taking the cap off the fuel tank, and it hasn't stopped since. So I'm thinking that may have something to do with it. I also tightened some belts that have been squeaking forever. I had to take a pry bar to get it tight enough, but we got her tight. And we're laying it down, baby. This mower is slightly different than my mower, in case you couldn't tell. So let's take some getting used to. I'm gonna have to probably adjust a little bit more on it. I'm trying to get that happy medium between not scalping and not leaving too much. So we'll have to mess around with it here, figure something out. Anyways, we're finally up and going, so we got plenty of sunlight. As long as nothing breaks down, we'll get this 8 acres cut here pretty quick. All right, guys, it's cutting pretty good, but if you look here, it is way too short, I think. I mean, it's not terrible. It's not scalping it, but it's not up to the top of my boot. The only way we can adjust the cut height with this thing is the center link arm here. What that's doing is that tilts that cutter bar back and forth. And so right now, you know, I started out like this and it wasn't cutting very clean. So I tilted it down. You don't want to cut it too raggedy because whenever you rake, we'll pull a lot of that green stuff in and that won't be worth a hoot either. So we got to find that happy medium. And right about the top of the boot right there. And I think that's good. That's about 3 to 4 inches. I think if we go any more, we're going to be leaving too much stuff behind. So we're going to go with that. Excuse me. We're going to go with that, and we'll check it here. I don't know. Ow, son of a buck. Here in a bit. Wish me luck. Nice sunset. You can't see because of the dirty glass and my crappy camera. This is some pretty thick hay. don't know if it's the thickest I've ever cut, but it's definitely thick. Speaking of thick, this is the field we're going to do the yield contest on. So, I'll try to get some footage here. And I'll do a walkthrough, let you guys see it after it's been cut and everything, and we'll see if we can get some people guessing, and I'll let you know later on. I'm actually going to try to give something away this time, since I've got, I don't know, a few more subscribers, and I'm kind of more of a channel now, if you want to call it that. I don't know what you want to call it, but I'd like to give something away. I haven't decided exactly what yet. I have some ideas. So, yeah, I'm gonna accept guesses through, I'm not gonna give you a date. I'll accept guesses in the comments on this video, as well as probably the next one where I tet it and rake it. Once I start baling, I won't accept any more guesses. I will say that there really aren't any thin spots in this field. So, just to give you an idea, this field is approximately 8 acres. The whole thing's about 10 acres, but take out the two acres in the bottom. So this field is 8 acres, and we make. Ooh, there's a ditch there, boys. It's all right. Didn't tear it up too bad. We make 50-pound bales, so we'll accept guesses. Uh-oh, it's doing it again. It's been going good. Now all of a sudden, I don't like it. Anyways, accepting guesses in bales per acre. So we make about 50-pound bales. All right. I'll tell you what, I don't know what the problem is. It's got a restriction somewhere. Dad put a new fuel filter and that didn't make any difference, but I'm wondering if we need to just try that again before we get too in depth. It's just a restriction. I can tell by the way it's acting, it's just a restriction. Because basically what happens is I'll run it and it'll just get to where it just loses RPM. Sometimes if you stop in time, it won't completely die. But if you just don't stop in time, it's gonna die, okay? You can let it sit. Sometimes you don't have to hardly let it sit. You can just crank on it and it'll sputter and get going again. What that's telling me is whenever you're running the tractor under some given amount of load, it's requiring more fuel than it's getting. I don't know where that restriction is. When I took some fuel lines loose, it seems like fuel is coming out good, but the problem is whenever I'm checking it, I can't do that under load. I don't know where the restriction is. It's probably not enough of a restriction. I'm going to find it just taking the line loose. I need to be able to put some pressure gauges on. So I don't know what I'm going to do. I'd like to take that line going to the fuel tank loose and blow some air in it. That's what I'd like to do. We'll see. All right, guys. I cut over to right there, and it took me longer to cut the last 4 swaths than it did to cut everything I've cut so far. I'm going to change the fuel filter in it. I called, the only 2 places that are open this late, it's 8 o'clock, is AutoZone and O'Reilly's. The town closest to me, neither one of them have this filter. For some reason, this is a filter that no one stocks, even though it's an $8 filter. crazy. So, but there's another town, an AutoZone that has it. I don't typically, I'm not a fan of AutoZone. It's just kind of a generic. But you know what? There's not much special about a fuel filter, and we got a number, so surely we can't screw it up, right? So frustrated right now. One tractor won't start, one tractor won't run, 3-point hitch doesn't work on it. So I came all the way to the next town over only to find out that they don't have the freaking filter either. They don't even look it up. It's not a good part number. They can't even sell it. So I don't know what the first person that there is a perfect example of why I do not go to AutoZone. I should have not even screwed with it. No one has that filter. It's an $8 filter. The first person I talked to at AutoZone said they did a system search and there was one in Marion. He said, that's an $8 filter. They have one in Marion. I said, okay. Came down there. Nope, don't have it. Can't get it. Not even a good part number to even order one. So I called the last guy I talked to. Well, I didn't get the same person. He said, well, I don't know. Maybe he misunderstood what you were telling him. It's like, it's pretty simple. I'm not the happiest person right now. So this is the end of this video, guys. I really appreciate you watching. God bless you. God bless America. Franklin County Forage out.